With over 5 million followers across Instagram and TikTok, Becca has turned just existing as a rich person into a billion-dollar content strategy. She's out here feeding caviar to cats on Christofle silverware, casually unboxing $900 shoes in Paris, and displaying a daily jewelry stack worth more than most people's yearly income. Her rise has been nothing short of meteoric.
I kind of went crazy with the Chanel vintage heels. So first pair that I got was this sort of gold silverish pair. Ta-da! So this piece is part of the Bulgari Polychroma collection, which is probably my favorite ever collection by them because of how colorful it is.
Gaining 2.6 million TikTok followers in just 4 months since starting her account in January 2025. But beneath the glossy surface of designer hauls and private jet content lies a web of questionable claims, suspicious timeline inconsistencies, and some pretty damning allegations that paint a very different picture of this beloved rich girl influencer. The internet has been buzzing with receipts, and when you start connecting the dots, things get interesting fast. The wealth that funds Becca's lifestyle supposedly comes from her parents, Simon Yiming Ma and Heidi Cho, Chinese tech entrepreneurs who founded Camelot Information Systems. On the surface, this sounds like a classic tech success story. Immigrant parents build a business empire, daughter lives the American dream with unlimited resources. Except Camelot Information Systems has a past that most people don't know about. Court documents and press releases reveal that the company faced securities fraud lawsuits, with complaints charging violations of the Securities Act of 1933 and the Securities Exchange Act of 1934. The allegations included issuing materially false and misleading statements regarding the company's business and financial results. The timeline is particularly interesting. The company went public on the New York Stock Exchange. Teenage Rebecca even rang the opening bell. But then legal troubles started mounting. Multiple law firms began investigating claims on behalf of investors, and the whole operation ended with the company going private again in 2014, conveniently right around when these legal issues were heating up. What's really telling is how difficult it is to find comprehensive information about these lawsuits now. Becca's Hermès journey feels rushed and performative. Most of her collection appears to be from current collections, which is unusual for someone claiming long-standing wealth.
And then sort of to match this, I unboxed it already, but this beautiful same color as the hardware, Ostrich Kelly.
Established Hermès collectors typically have a mix of vintage pieces, seasonal items, and those random purchases that demonstrate genuine brand engagement beyond Instagram-worthy pieces. Internet detectives have been analyzing her collection with forensic precision, and some details are genuinely concerning. Observers have noted things like brand new bags still having plastic protective covering on hardware, odd for pieces that are supposedly owned and used regularly. There are also serious questions about whether some bags might be high-quality replicas, which have become increasingly sophisticated and difficult to distinguish from authentic pieces. One particularly damaging story involved Becca claiming her sales associate offered her a bag that she already owned. Anyone familiar with Hermès knows that SAs keep meticulous records of client purchases. If you already own a specific bag, they wouldn't typically offer you the identical one, unless someone isn't keeping their story straight or the SA has the memory of a goldfish. Compare this to someone like Jamie Xie, who has years of documented Hermès purchases, including equestrian items and pieces that show genuine brand engagement beyond just buying the most Instagram-worthy bags. But it's not just Becca or her parents who have questions to answer. David Pownall, Becca's fiancé of 5 years, presents another piece of this puzzling financial equation. He's Canadian, graduated from the University of British Columbia, and works as a software engineer, first at Google, now at Amazon. Standard tech worker trajectory. Nothing unusual there. But here's where things get interesting. Research into his career level reveals he's described as a level 5 engineer. That's decent money, especially in the Bay Area, potentially $200,000 to $300,000 annually. But it's not feed caviar to your cats for breakfast content money. It's more like, maybe we can afford the nice grocery store money. The explanation floating around is that his wealth came from crypto investments, which could certainly be true. Many tech workers hit it big with well-timed cryptocurrency plays. However, this would mean their wealth is relatively new and potentially less stable than the old money image Becca projects. What's particularly noticeable is how David barely appears in Becca's content, despite being her supposed life partner. Most influencer couples milk that relationship for engagement, but David seems almost reluctant to be on camera. Either he's camera shy, or he's not entirely comfortable with the level of financial exhibitionism happening on his wife's social media. And just when followers thought his low profile was the strangest part of their relationship, the wedding storyline made everything even murkier. This is where the story takes a dark turn. Becca has been documenting her dream wedding journey to Villa Balbiano in Lake Como, the same venue where House of Gucci was filmed. The buildup has been extensive, with custom Oscar de la Renta dress fittings, venue tours, and endless wedding planning content. According to multiple TikTok gossip accounts citing sources close to the situation, the entire wedding narrative might be elaborate performance art. The allegation? Becca has reportedly already been married, and this whole romantic journey millions are following is essentially fake content designed for engagement and brand partnerships.
It has now been exposed by sources close to Becca Bloom that she has been married. She's already been married.
If true, this represents a level of audience manipulation that goes far beyond typical influencer embellishment. It's like creating a reality TV show where the reality is completely fictional, except nobody told the audience they were watching fiction. The wedding details themselves raised eyebrows among observers. Despite all the luxury content, sources reported only 60 people were invited to the August 29, 2025 ceremony. For someone who presents herself as having extensive social connections and unlimited resources, that's a surprisingly intimate guest list. Additional tea emerged about her ghosting the first wedding planner after receiving their price quote, opting for a less expensive alternative. Reports also surfaced about cutting corners on table flowers and other details. The same person who serves caviar on silver platters to cats apparently couldn't spring for florals on every table. The math, as the kids say, isn't mathing.
Wedding planner gave Becca Bloom their price, she ghosted them and went with the cheaper option, I suppose. Now, this is all celebrity news and gossip.
At this point, you could almost forgive Becca for being frugal with flowers. Maybe she just isn't into blooms. But what's harder to brush off is her feud with Jamie Z, which takes things from penny pinching to full-on social warfare. The tension with Jamie Z provides crucial context for understanding the broader dynamics at play. Jamie is the daughter of Ken Z, a legitimate billionaire who founded several successful tech companies. She's been in the luxury lifestyle space for years, with an authentic claim to generational wealth. The beef between Jamie and Becca has been simmering beneath the surface, but it reached a boiling point when Jamie made cryptic comments essentially questioning Becca's authenticity. When someone with actual billionaire parents calls you out for being fake, that's not regular drama, that's insider intelligence. According to circulating gossip, Jamie's parents refused to associate with Becca's family due to the Camelot information system scandal. This suggests that legitimate wealthy families in their circle have already identified Becca's family as problematic or socially unacceptable. There are rumors that Jamie's mother found Becca standoffish and fake nice for clout, and that Becca's family tried too hard to ingratiate themselves with the Z's for social status. Even Dorothy Wang, another verified wealthy socialite, apparently finds Becca try-hard and awkward in person. This is classic new money versus old money drama, except with the plot twist that the new money might not even be that legitimate. Recent exposés revealed that many of Becca's home videos aren't filmed in her private residence. Instead, they're shot in common areas of her apartment building, carefully angled to appear like personal living spaces. The girl who built her brand on luxury and abundance is essentially using the apartment building's lobby as her personal film set. Multiple TikTok users have broken down the evidence, showing how background details like specific chairs and architectural elements reveal these are shared spaces that any building resident could access. This revelation sent her comment sections into investigative mode, with followers going back through old videos looking for other signs of deception. But the scrutiny didn't stop at where she films. Once people started digging, they also began asking whether the audience itself was even real. Social media analysts have identified suspicious engagement patterns, suggesting artificial amplification of Becca's content. We're talking about paid comments that sound generic but positive, sudden engagement spikes that don't match organic growth patterns, and sock puppet accounts that exist seemingly solely to praise her content. Many of these suspicious accounts appear linked to Chinese social media marketing operations, which would align with her family's background and connections. This could explain how she achieved such rapid follower growth. Organic viral success usually doesn't happen quite that fast without algorithmic assistance. The most fascinating aspect of the Becca Bloom phenomenon isn't just whether she's authentic or not. It's understanding why someone with her apparent wealth would choose to become internet famous in the first place. Unlike most people who build social media followings to eventually monetize them, Becca theoretically doesn't need the money. Her family's software empire supposedly provides generational wealth that would allow her to live in complete luxury and privacy forever. So why step into the spotlight? Why document every luxury purchase for millions of strangers? The psychology behind ultra-wealthy individuals choosing public exposure is complex and often contradictory to typical wealthy behavior patterns. Psychologists who study the ultra-rich often find that unlimited resources can create unique psychological challenges. When traditional motivations like financial security disappear, some individuals struggle with purpose and meaning. For someone like Becca, creating content and building an audience of millions who interact with and adore her might provide a sense of purpose that money alone cannot deliver. There's also the stimulation factor to consider. Social media provides unpredictability, creative challenges, and dopamine hits that materialistic consumption simply cannot match. The process of convincing millions of people to trust and follow you requires skill, strategy, and constant innovation. The thrill of a viral video might genuinely be more exciting than any luxury purchase, no matter how expensive. For someone born into extreme wealth, there's also the validation question. When everything in your life is potentially connected to family money rather than personal achievement, the need to prove something, either to others or yourself, becomes more pronounced. However, this theory has obvious flaws when you consider that nearly everything Becca posts is still directly connected to her wealth and privilege. If she truly wanted to build something separate from her family's money, you would expect her to showcase other talents or interests. The signing with United Talent Agency in April 2025, just months after starting her TikTok, reveals the calculated nature of this entire operation. UTA doesn't sign creators for fun. They represent people like Emma Chamberlain and Charli D'Amelio because they believe these individuals can generate significant revenue and cultural impact. The agency's press release praised Becca for her unprecedented growth and deeply engaged fan base, and called her a true innovator in the creator space. This language isn't used for casual content creators. It's reserved for people building media empires. This professional representation eliminates any notion that Becca's social media presence is just a hobby or casual entertainment. When you sign with one of Hollywood's most powerful agencies, you're committing to a business strategy designed for maximum monetization and cultural influence. The timing is particularly telling. Most influencers spend years building their audience before attracting major agency representation. Becca managed this in 4 months, suggesting either extraordinary natural talent or significant resources invested in accelerating her growth trajectory. One of the most revealing aspects of Becca's content strategy is how carefully she constructs the image of effortlessness. While clearly putting tremendous effort into content production, she frequently mentions working extremely hard, waking up at 5 a.m., and being incredibly busy. But with what exactly? A particularly suspicious moment came when she posted about her father buying her a professional camera setup worth approximately $50,000 because he felt sorry for her filming with an iPhone. The accompanying text read that he doesn't really know what TikTok is, but says he wants me to have fun with my new hobby. This narrative strains credibility for several reasons. First, her father operates in the tech industry and has done business in China. How would he not understand what TikTok is? Second, the idea that a successful tech entrepreneur would view his daughter's rapidly growing social media presence as just a hobby seems deliberately naive. Throughout her content, Becca demonstrates a sophisticated understanding of psychology, business strategy, and human behavior, knowledge that doesn't typically develop accidentally. Yet, she maintains this persona of stumbling into success without really understanding what she's doing. The most damning evidence against Becca's authenticity claims might be the production quality and strategic thinking evident in her content. Every video demonstrates careful planning, from lighting and staging to narrative structure and audience engagement techniques. Her spontaneous luxury purchases often feature perfect timing, ideal camera angles, and emotional beats that feel scripted rather than genuine. The stories she tells, like needing to feed her cats caviar on designer plates or casually buying jewelry worth hundreds of thousands of dollars, are crafted for maximum aspirational impact. Real wealthy people with casual attitudes toward luxury rarely document their purchases so meticulously. When you actually don't think about money, you tend not to make content specifically about spending it. Understanding why millions of people consume Becca's content reveals as much about contemporary culture as it does about her individual psychology. Her audience are participating in a fantasy about effortless wealth and beauty. The comment sections reveal viewers living vicariously through her purchases, travels, and lifestyle choices. People express genuine excitement about her jewelry acquisitions, vacation destinations, and even mundane daily activities. This suggests her audience is seeking escapism rather than relatability. But this dynamic creates a problematic feedback loop. The more engagement her luxury content receives, the more extreme and elaborate her displays become. Becca's trajectory demonstrates how the influencer industry has evolved into an ecosystem where appearance trumps substance. She was named to Time's 100 Most Influential Digital Voices of 2025, which raises questions about what constitutes influence versus what constitutes performance. Her signing with UTA, representing creators like Emma Chamberlain and Charli D'Amelio, means professional teams now work to maximize her earning potential. The irony is that her success proves you don't need to actually be as wealthy as you appear. You just need to be wealthy enough to fake being wealthier. It's luxury tier fake it till you make it, except the stakes are higher and the potential psychological damage to audiences is greater. For those who follow Becca and enjoy her content, there's nothing inherently wrong with finding her videos aesthetically pleasing or relaxing. But it's important to remember that everything being consumed is content first, reality second. Those spontaneous luxury purchases, likely planned for maximum engagement. Those effortless morning routines, probably choreographed and filmed multiple times. That perfect relationship, curated to fit the brand narrative. None of this makes anyone stupid for enjoying the content, but it should inspire some healthy skepticism when comparing real life to her highlight reel. The truth about Becca Bloom likely falls somewhere between complete fraud and total authenticity. She's probably a genuinely wealthy young woman who decided to leverage her family's resources and her own aesthetic sensibilities into social media success. She's created compelling content that millions enjoy and converted that into legitimate business opportunities. But she's also likely exaggerated her wealth level, possibly fabricated major life events for content, and definitely presented a version of reality that's more fantasy than documentation. Whether this makes her a scammer or simply a dedicated content creator depends on individual interpretation and personal tolerance for influencer embellishment. And maybe that's the darkest truth. Not that Becca might be performing wealth, but that audiences wanted her lifestyle to be authentic so desperately that critical questions weren't asked until the cracks became too obvious to ignore.